fascinating to see that the chat is already on fire. I basically named this live the way that I named it because I feel like some folks are not a fan of me being less than what they might have imagined me to be as a person based on their exposure to me via Budget Eats, which is understandable. I think Budget Eats is a fairly transparent show, but it is also a edited show, and it is also a show produced for my employer, who is a media brand owned by a media corporation. So obviously I cannot be as raw and as mean, asterisks, because who's to define what's mean, and as unadulterated as I am here. I am a very difficult person to be with in reality, and I don't deny that, and I have some really bad moments, and I don't deny that. But if this is at all triggering to you, then I of course recommend that you don't watch these lives anymore, because I don't want to bring more unhappiness to your lives. But if for some twisted reason you have criticized me over and over again for certain aspects of my personality that I simply can't change with the snap of a finger, and you keep coming back to make the same criticisms while saying how awful I am on these lives, then I think you are just doing yourself a disservice by coming back here and re-exposing yourself to the same kinds of negativity that you claim to not like. So with that being said, I'm going to be baking stuff today. Aaron's birthday is coming up. He has been talking about this Persian love cake that a pastry chef made at a hotel, like a cafe and a hotel in the Flatiron District. That cafe and the hotel is no more. That pastry chef is still active. I can't remember her name. It might be Zoe K something. But he had her Persian love cake once. He loved it. So we're gonna try to make like mini versions of that based on whatever I have lying around in the house. And I also have a lot of buckwheat flour that is now 3 years past the sell-by date. So I'm gonna try to make some crackers with that for myself. And you know, if I have free time between those two projects on this live, I would love to read some comments on the last couple of lives, because there have been intense disagreements breaking out between viewers about how to interpret me and who I am as a person, and whether or not I'm using my grief for my mom's death as an excuse for being the awful person that I am, which, you know, like, maybe the grief has made it worse, but I've always been as bad as you see. It doesn't happen overnight, and even if I wanted to become a better person, it's not going to happen overnight. And as well-intentioned as your criticisms and feedbacks and observations may be, I'm going to read them. They're going to hurt me, which is fine. I'm used to being hurt. And they might be constructive, even though they may sound like very mean, trolly comments. They might be constructive. But I'm not promising you that I'm going to be a better person overnight just because I read your comment. So manage your expectations. I am a human being. There are some really awful human beings out there. I don't think I'm among the worst ones, but I'm certainly not among the saintly best ones either. I'm just somewhere in between, like an everyman, which I think is maybe why I trigger a lot of viewers so much, is because you do see yourself in me, and so every time I'm less than perfect, it makes you think of the abject in yourself that could also be this very bad, no good, mean part of June. And in which case, I ask you to do nothing about it. Because at the end of the day, we're all gonna have moments where we're just like shitty people. But that's because we're really not capable of being good all the time, and that's fine. Okay, cake time. I should take my vitamins and you should too, so vitamin time first and then we go into cake time. And Aaron and I will have disagreements, and yes, I'm really mean to Aaron sometimes, but like in my defense, you don't get to see him all the time. He's not mean to me, but he's also like not the heavenly saintly person that you think of him as. You only see what you see here, and you can extrapolate, and it won't be accurate. I'm not saying you're wrong when you critique me. You're not. A lot of you are actually really right. I was mean to my mother. I continue to be mean to Aaron, but I'm not mean all the time. And I'm a bitch, but I'm also not a bitch all the time. So it's just like, there is a gray scale that I feel like a lot of us are not comfortable with. Like there is a cognitive dissonance of sorts when you see someone you thought was good behave in a bad way, and you're like, well, they're either a shitty person now, or they need to change and revert back to their good selves. It doesn't happen like that. We're good and we're bad. Sometimes we're more good than we're bad. Vice versa. Whatever. Vitamins. Anyway, lots of opinions flying around. That's fine. Let them fly. I won't get to read all of them, unfortunately, but if you really do want to have me see something, you can tag me in orange. Okay, so for the Persian love cakes that I'm gonna make, I was thinking of making mini muffins, but maybe we should make a cake. Cake. Can you vote? Do you want to see mini muffins, or cake? Like a round cake? What should I make for Aaron? Cake. Okay, fine, cake. I think cake wins, guys. You can stop voting now. Thank you for voting. Thank you for participating in this democracy. There's no space in the freezer. There's never space in the freezer, y'all. Whatever. If he doesn't eat it all in 2 days, I'm gonna eat it all in 2 days. So it doesn't matter. It's a moot point. We don't have candles. I don't think I'm gonna buy candles, but maybe I'll buy candles if I'm feeling nice. Don't think we should be feeding fried cake, unfortunately. Okay. The Instant Pot does have his own chair. That is funny. Let's see. I wrote a recipe of sorts that I've obviously not tested. I just compared some recipes online and I was like, all right, let's swing it. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Who knows? So we'll see. Everything's an experiment. With cardamom, oh yes, Persian love cake. It has to have cardamom, so. We got our cardamom. If you're stuck on the live and I'm frozen or the chat is, just refresh our page. It's happened before. It will happen again until the end of time. I've got the happy eggs. Mainly because I got coupons for the happy eggs. But they are very nice eggs, indeed. I should have softened my butter, but maybe I don't know, maybe I just microwave this shit. Listen, I just finished shooting a week of Budget Eats. I don't have the energy in me to do anything proper right now. So I hope you're not expecting proper baking. This is just random baking, as we do. American eggs, by default, I think, have to be washed. Like, that's a regulation. I think in parts of Asia and Europe, they don't wash their eggs. But that's why American eggs have to be refrigerated, because they wash that kind of natural biofilm off the eggs to clean them, but then that makes them more susceptible to spoilage. I don't know, I feel like proper baking is, you know, folks think you always bake according to a recipe because baking is a science, yada yada yada, which I always found that, like, I accepted that saying for a long time, and then I was like, what are you talking about? Why does baking have to be a science? Who said? Is there a reason why you've only got one pierced ear? Yes, the other ear was pierced twice, got infected both times, and closed up. And I was like, fuck this shit. I guess it doesn't want to be pierced. Everyone who says baking is a science has obviously never experienced the joy of just putting shit into a bowl, putting it into the oven or the microwave, and then just eating the sadness that came out of that bowl. It's an exhilarating experience. It gives you all the rush of like a B movie that you paid way too much money for to see in the theaters. Melted that in the microwave. Okay. It's half melted, so we're gonna try to see if we can soften it. The butter is going to be very hard to cream by hand with a whisk manually, so we're just going to go ahead and add in our granulated sugar. Yes. I wrote down 1/3 of a cup, so that's approximately 70 grams. Aaron usually doesn't like things very sweet, but since we're playing this one by ear, I decided to make it a little bit lower on the sugar, and then we can always soak it with a syrup after it comes out of the bake if it's not sweet enough. And then it gets glazed too, so. Hello, Allison Baker in all caps. Grate the butter instead of microwave for better results if you forget to soften it. That's a wonderful tip, Laura, but I don't want to do the dishes of a buttery grater. I have done the dishes on a buttery grater before. It is not worth it for me, personally. Can you use margarine instead? Sure, why not? But you don't really want to use margarine, do you? It has trans fat and all of that, and it's just fake butter. Why not just use olive oil? What am I making anyway? I'm trying to make a cake of sorts. We're creaming the butter and the sugar together by hand a little bit. know what I forgot to do? Empty out the oven. I never used to be an oven storage person. But the pandemic has required that I accumulate all sorts of equipment to have at home for work. So now I am an oven storage person. I always said I wouldn't be my mom, who was very much an oven storage person, like most Asian mothers, I think. You can use olive oil instead of butter. I haven't made this recipe before, guys. This is like winging it. So I'm not the person to ask. But when you're baking, you can always substitute oil for butter. You might want to use like 1/6 less of oil than butter, because butter has milk solids in it. It's not all fat. Oil is all fat. Oil also gives it a very different, dense texture. So it just, you know, it won't be a one-to-one translation. You won't get what the recipe intended if you're using a recipe, but we're not using a recipe, so. My recipe here says 2 large eggs. I don't even have large eggs. I don't even know why I said that. So now we're gonna try to use 3. Actually, I do have 2 large eggs. Oh, they're here. Never mind. Just lying to myself. One large egg is about 55 grams cracked open without the shell, just for your reference. I'm gonna crack them one at a time, mix them in before I whip in the other one. It's a little bit easier to get cohesive battering happening. It's starting to look a little like frosting. Yum. Egg frosting. US recipes use cups because US measurement system is dumb. That's it. And the US measuring system made me feel like shit in the 3rd grade when I was a recent immigrant and we had to pull together a family cookbook of sorts. And every student was asked to go home, get a family recipe, and contribute it to our class cookbook. But my mom and I didn't know English back then, so we stood up until like 2:30 or 3 or 4 a.m. to turn one of our non-recipes into a written recipe, which written recipes aren't really a thing the way I grew up. And then, after doing all of that work, I went into school the next day to have my 3rd grade teacher call me over in the middle of the day during, I don't know what class. And I made out, I wasn't fluent in English back then, but I made out that she was trying to tell me that she couldn't use the recipe I had submitted because 1, the English was horrible, and 2, our measurements weren't in like tablespoons, cups. Our measurements were probably in grams and shit like that. So it gave me a big insecurity that wouldn't have happened if I just lived in a country that used the metric system like everywhere else in the world. One teaspoon of ground cardamom. And you know, like, everybody's telling me how the 3rd grade teacher fucked up and it's her fault and blah, blah, blah. And you know, like, she didn't handle it the best way, but she didn't handle it the worst way. She was just doing what she could. She's a public school teacher in fucking New York City with overcrowded classrooms, like probably everywhere in the States. Our public education system is sorely underfunded, and as bad as it felt, it could have been worse. But I learned from it. It was, as we like to say, character building. Okay, we're gonna go in with 1.5 cups of almond flour, which I'm going to guesstimate. I'm gonna say 1 cup is 120. So 1.5 is gonna be 180. Is that right? Woo! Must have an accident. This is a gluten-free recipe, only almond flour. And I should have switched over to a spatula sooner. Ooh. That was just straight butter, sugar, and cardamom, and that was good. No, the cute whisk with the heart in the middle is like the size of my nose. It's tiny. This is a delish whisk. I will also be needing a little bit of citrus zest. Guys, guess what? You know how Hearst gave me a month of bereavement? I just found out during a union-wide meeting that the policy for Hearst bereavement is actually 3 days, like most of you were saying. And I was like, how the fuck did I get a whole month off? And I'm trying to figure out that mystery, but apparently it's up to the individual supervisor to make a request for longer bereavement exemptions. And apparently some of my coworkers pushed really hard for me to get a month off. So I'm not certain yet, but just so you know, to all the comments that were like, you're not grateful to Hearst for your month of bereavement, which is exceedingly amazing compared to the rest of the country, now we know that it's not actually Hearst policy. It was an exception. And possibly an exception made because I have fucking awesome coworkers. But when I verify the details, I'll let you know. I basically said, in retrospect, if I didn't get the month of bereavement, I think I probably would have quit. I don't think I could have kept working and handled everything that I needed to handle. The beauty of having a workplace that is unionized is through that collaborative process, you find ways of supporting each other even if you don't have a union contract yet. You begin to adopt this solidarity motion as a way of existence rather than as a one-time action. And I think that's the way it should be for all issues that we have in society. Unfortunately, it just seems like we can't really get our shit together most of the time. But by the time we get our shit together, guys, we can solve a lot of things. I too was very surprised at the amount of time I received. I was like, when did hers turn this generous? It doesn't seem like something that they would do. And we were all right. It's not something that they would all do. In our bargaining process, we are apparently proposing it to be raised to 12 days, up from 3, but 3 is the current amount of days that you get for bereavement, which seems, unfortunately, to be the norm, because when people were writing in, they were like, I only got 3 days, which is fucking insane. How could you only give someone 3 days, especially if their immediate family dies? I don't even understand what you can do in 3 days. You can't even get over the shock of death in the family in 3 days. I don't think I like woke up until a week after my mom died. You know, Delish is a very friendly place to work. We have awesome people on the team. Delish, however, is owned by a huge media conglomerate called Hearst. So in the same way that everybody jumped on the boat to cancel Bon App, it's like, okay, but what are you doing about their parent company, Condé Nast, who owns all these other publications? Okay, I said to add some citrus juice, but I don't... Should I add some citrus? Alright, fine, I'll add some citrus juice. But I really want to eat this. I'm going to shave off the rest of the zest so we can use it later, maybe in the glaze or something. And then I want to eat some of this orange. Because it smells so good. Oops. Delicious. Really nice orange. Or tangerine, whatever this is. I am still at Delish. Aaron is out. That's why this stream is so late, because I decided to wait until he headed out so I can make him a birthday cake. How about you juice your citrus but also eat it too? Hmm? I don't know what my neighbor upstairs is doing. Sounds like furniture moving. Okay. Whoever said 4 or 5 segments, you were on the dot. That looks about right. other unionized food media companies. Not that I know of, but we could be the first. We are the first, baby. We are unionizing all of Hearst Media, so it's not just Delish. Hearst Magazine, sorry, not Hearst Media, Hearst Magazines, because Hearst Media is huge. Hearst Magazines has about 24 brands, some of which you have heard. Cosmo, 17, what else? Esquire, I think. Town and Country. There's a lot. Pioneer Woman. We're gonna put some rose water in this cake. It's just gonna be flavor overload. Don't worry, Aaron's gonna love it. You're gonna hate it, but Aaron's gonna love it. And he's the only one who's eating this cake. And me. I'm also eating this cake. But the point is, you're not eating this cake, so don't worry. Okay. Probably just 1 teaspoon of rose. It can be quite pungent. Then we're going to go in with baking powder, baking soda, yes, I know a lot of people hate rose water. They think it tastes like soap. I know. Our butter was already salted, so I'm not going to be putting in any more salt, but otherwise I would be if I didn't use salted butter. And then I think I'm going to put in a little bit of sour cream. I bought this a while ago for recipe testing, never really finished using it. It's apparently best by March 13th, which we still have about a month away, but it is quickly approaching. So this looks like good shit, yo. Look at that. Look at that texture. Wow. Simply luxurious. Okay, here's my thing. I knew that my cake would not measure up to the original love cake because I don't know that recipe, and she's a professional baker, pastry chef, whatever you want to call her, very accomplished, makes a lot of delicious desserts, can't compare. So I thought I'd put a twist on it, and Erin really likes chocolate cake, so I figured I'd separate this batter in half and make like a marble, you know? Rosebuds are going to go on top. So we're going to turn on the oven. That is good sour cream. Tastes like a popsicle. I don't know why. We're gonna spray our tin. the batter in here, and then I'm going to keep half the batter in here and add some cocoa powder and extra sugar to it to sweeten it. Okay. Ooh, 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 ooh. And I think instead of white sugar, we're gonna add in a little bit of brown sugar. I don't know why. Don't ask me, I don't know what I'm doing. Definitely measuring everything as we go, as you can see. Not really. But that was how much brown sugar I put in. And I'm going to put in a roughly equal amount of cocoa powder. It is a cashmere sweater, Linda. How'd you know? We're going to add a touch extra of both baking soda and baking powder, just to offset the dries that we added a little bit, not too much. And I originally said add salt, but I don't think I'm going to. But I might add in, oh, I put it away, didn't I? I might add in a little more sour cream. Because cocoa will make everything a little bit dry. And you don't really have to worry about over mixing because no flour, no gluten development. It's all almond flour, and almond flour actually behaves this batter would taste much better and would bake better if I let it sit before baking, but we don't have patience. I think we need a little more sugar. And a little more salt. The cocoa, I think, needs that little pinch of extra salt. Almond flour is dense. That is why Aaron likes this cake. He likes a dense, moist cake. His favorite texture is pretty much like brownie. And when it comes to brownies, he likes the brownies that are like brownie batter brownie, you know? So the wetter and the denser the batter, I think the better. Okay. Ooh. Ooh, that extra sugar is nice, nice. Maybe I should have tasted the batter of the white one too. Oh no, that's good. I think it's just the cocoa powder that is really wicking away the sweetness there. Applesauce also moistens baked goods, yes, but sour cream has fat and protein, so it leavens baked goods in an entirely different way than applesauce. Applesauce is not bad if you want to do like a low-fat kind of substitute when you're baking. I would recommend you substitute up to like a quarter of the butter with applesauce. If you substitute your entire butter count with applesauce, you are going to be a very sad eater of your dessert. It's not going to feel like cake or a cookie. Because applesauce is just all moisture, no fat. So it's going to make your cake very, very stodgy. Bacon grease is amazing. Bacon grease is flavorful. Bacon grease is basically just salty lard. And lard is the basis of a lot of Chinese baked goods, and Chinese baked goods are always flaky and on point. Okay. I don't really want to swoop it too hard because I don't want to homogenize the colors too bad. Ooh, I just want to taste this batter now. Oh man, yum. I'm gonna cut across the cake just a few times. And that's it. Yo, this batter is so good. Tastes like frosting. Even if this cake doesn't bake well, at least we know the batter tasted good. Okay, going into a 350 oven. I'm gonna set the timer for 22 minutes. No, set the timer for 25 minutes, and then I'm gonna set my other timer for 20 minutes. And then we're gonna make our cracker dough. Huzzah! while I do dishes, I want to see what you guys are saying. Fred is sleeping, yes. Right after college, I went to China for a year to teach because I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I've used black cocoa. It's very flat. It is a very intensely dark, rich color. Okay, as I've said, I'm going to be making some buckwheat crackers. This is the bran that I separated from it. This is the flour. I don't know if I'm going to be using the bran as much. It might make my tummy go hurt too much. But I'm going to be putting some mochiko in there for a little bit of crispy effect. And I don't know, maybe we'll put in some of this almond flour in there too, since I have some left over. What else? I think I will use some olive oil for the fat, and yes, flax seeds are good. Yes, yes. Some sugar and interesting. Persimmon butter that I got sent that I don't know what to do with. So maybe we'll make a cake for me. Maybe we'll make mini muffins for me. It says best of use by February 27th, which is coming up. It is by the same fancy company that gave me the snacks a couple of weeks back. Ugh. It is a very it smells very pumpkin spicy. It is flavored with orange, honey, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, salt. So it is kind of like a very pumpkin spice persimmon butter, they called it, but it's pretty sloshy. That's very sweet. I think we'll make a cake with this. That sounds good. You know what? Let's make a cake first. I'm gonna bake it in a pan because I don't feel like washing a muffin tin, to be honest with you. It's just not kind of a day for me. Let it warm up and spread on its own. Just go ahead and use the same tools. Why not? Okay. So the persimmon jam is already pretty sweet. I'm going to taste the batter first before I add in any sugar. I'm going to go in with a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I'm going to go in with this jam, or butter, if you want to call it that. $150 grams. I'm gonna save some. Maybe we'll swirl it on top. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Gonna crack in 2 eggs. These are medium eggs. Okay, let's see. We're gonna whisk it up. Nice and smooth. June, do you have a mantra? No. Should I? What should my mantra be? Okay. I'm gonna use some almond flour too. Why not? Because I deserve it. JK, I don't deserve it because nobody deserves anything. 60 grams of it, so roughly a 1/2 cup. That was a little bit over a cup. We'll see how this feels. Oh, you know what? I should put in some baking soda and baking powder first. If you like the bolding I used to do, I highly recommend that you check out the 2 links that I put in the description box. They actually have real boldings, guys. Not like my janky boldings. If there's one thing that you should know about me, which I don't think my mom ever fully came to terms with, is that I really don't like doing what people tell me to do. So the best way to get me to do something is to either not mention it and just let me do it on my own, or do some reverse psychology on me. But I also just don't like having rituals of boldings every time. I think it gets tropey. I think I get tired of it, and I think it stops being meaningful. And I just don't see a point. Sorry. 2 tablespoons of milk. You should make a cake for you. I highly recommend it. Cakes are delightful, aren't they? And you know what? Since I made Aaron a marble cake, I wonder if I would like a marble cake too. That should definitely need more sugar. You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna ruin it, guys. I'm so sorry I'm gonna ruin it, but I have that fake Truvia sugar that I need to get rid of. I should just throw it out, but let's just put it in here. 3 tablespoons of Truvia sugar. It's mostly because I need my sugar for recipe development. So I'm just gonna use that fake ass sugar. It's very gloopy, this dough. Not sure what's going on here. Gonna drizzle in some honey. This is gonna be a very strange cake, y'all. We're getting there. We are getting there. Oh my god, I can't believe none of you told me to do this yet. Obviously, we gotta use some Baileys. You don't know if you like someone or the image of them, because we are all just images. We are all different images in different people's minds. Aaron has a very different image of me than you have of me. I have a very different image of me than you have of me. But who's to say who's more right? I don't think my perception of me is more accurate than your perception of me. So, like the Eminem song goes, sing it, guys, sing it. I think we need more Baileys. It tastes fucking delicious. There we go. That was like a solid quarter cup of Baileys. Okay, I don't know what it is about buckwheat, but this is a very strange texture. It's almost like mucusy. Ooh, that Bailey's. That Bailey's. That's really good. No, it still tastes like cake batter, but. Very nice silkiness. It's a very smooth shine. You know what? I'm gonna put some fucking cardamom in my cake too, Erin. You're not the only one who gets cardamom. That's right. I think it also needs a touch more salt, just a little touch. I haven't tried the other variations of Bailey's. I would like to. They have not reached out to me about giving me free samples, surprisingly enough. But I think it's probably because I haven't broadcast my love for Bailey's all over Delish content yet. The cardamom is a yes. Very much so. Look at that texture! What a weirdo. Buckwheat, you're a weirdo. Okay, that's 20 minutes. Ooh, she's puffing. I'm going to set a 10-minute timer on this one. Okay, so we have this. We also have some this. And I'm thinking I'm gonna add some sour cream into the rest of this persimmon butter. And I'm just going to dollop it all across my cake. And we'll have like little pockets of persimmon sour cream things. All this time, my tepache was on the oven, so it's been cooking. I think it is. Let's taste it. I might have killed all the organisms, unfortunately, in my tepache. Ooh, hot tapache. I don't know if I like that. Mm. The liquid I was just drinking is tapache. It's fermented pineapple. We're gonna put a little bit of real sugar into this persimmon sour cream mixture. Fred threw up again, believe it or not. We don't know what to make of it. He definitely doesn't like the new salmon food that we bought him, sadly. So we don't know if he's sick. We're planning on taking him to the vet soon. Unfortunately, the vet that he had moved away to Miami, we just found out, or Florida somewhere. Not sure where exactly, but very sad. We asked for his patient records, but like doctors' handwritings, it should be illegal by the way, but doctors' handwritings are horrendous. Yes? Please, if you're a doctor, can you please make sure your handwriting is not completely illegible? I think we need a little more time. This is gonna be a very exciting cake. If it bakes. If it doesn't bake, oh well. I think our other cake is very close to being done. Time for the cracker dough! Yay! Okay. Let me pull up my sourdough cracker delish recipe. This Best By date on the almond flour was a week after Mom died. And we say goodbye to this as well. Okay. And I was measuring it, and then I was like, no, just use it. You don't want to be left with this shit anymore. A little bit of the bran flakes. We're going to go in with a little bit of flax seeds. We're going to dump this pistachio duca, made by the same fancy Westbourne brand, in. That's going to have salt and nuttiness too. What else? I can put more sesame seeds in, I guess. That's always a good call. How else do I want to flavor this? Hum, 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 hum. Maybe I don't. Maybe a little bit of baking powder. A little bit of baking soda. Maybe a touch bit more salt, since that was a lot more buckwheat than I intended to use. Guys, you know what we forgot to fucking do? Is make the syrup that the cake needs to soak while it's still hot. Shit. Okay. Emergency syrup time. Ooh, wind sounds insane outside. I don't think the cake is quite done yet, so maybe I still have some time. I was gonna do some cardamom pods, and I was gonna fish out, I thought I had like a saffron thing in here that I never used. I was like, what if we used it for this? I don't know if I can find it. Should have been a little more prepared. Huh? Yep. Story of my life. Found the saffron. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. That could have been so bad. exciting day, guys. I hope you're enjoying this exciting day. So I got about equal amount of sugar and water in our pot. Then I'm gonna put in like 2 tiny saffron things in there. I personally don't enjoy the flavor of saffron. But again, it might be because I've never had good saffron. Who knows? And then I'm going to put in 3 cardamom pods, but I want to go ahead and crush them. Like so. Yes, we do have peanut butter. Of course we have peanut butter. And then you're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna put some orange water in here as well. And let me just show you the color of that saffron leaching into the syrup. How are we going to hide this cake from Aaron for a few days? Probably won't be able to. So the edges are starting to peel away. I think that's a good sign. One way to know is sticking a toothpick in the middle, seeing if it pulls out clean. Old trick in the book, if you guys know this. Great. Perfect. It feels very light right now, very eggy. I'm just going to go ahead and poke some holes in here for the syrup to soak into. Here's our syrup. Probably could have let the syrup gone a little longer for the cardamom flavor to really soak in there, but I did not plan this very good. So apparently you're supposed to let this get drizzled in batches, although I don't think I made very much syrup, did I? Come closer, my children. I'm sorry about the white balance. I'm not sure what's going on there. There you go. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit now and a little bit when my other cake comes out so that the syrup doesn't all just soak straight to the bottom of the cake. It kind of gets a little bit saturated at one tier and then saturated at the next tier up. If you dump it all in now, it might just all sit on the bottom, and then you'll have kind of like a drier cake on top and a wetter cake on bottom, which is fine if that's what you're going for. But that's not what I'm going for. Okay. I'm moving my cake from the top rack to the middle rack. It does not currently look very good. I probably should have mixed some flour into the persimmon sour cream portion. Right now it just looks like slosh, but that's fine. We live and learn. Cracker dough time. My battery might run out soon. I'm gonna do 3 tablespoons of flour because the buckwheat just seems a little like, 3 tablespoons of oil. Buckwheat just seems like a very thirsty boy, you know? We'll just distribute the oil evenly into our flour mixture, and then I think I'm just gonna stream in water. This is usually made with a sourdough discard. That's kind of a glue, but I don't have that. Do I have anything that I can use? Oh, I didn't add sugar to it, did I? Didn't add sugar to those crackers yet. And no, I don't really have anything that I can use, but, oh, perfect. I need an excuse to get rid of this QP bottle. Do you see this? I'm going to clean this. Most of you would probably throw this out by now, but I'm going to clean this out, and I'm going to be putting some mayo into my crackers. That way we can finally say bye to this bottle. Yes, we did just cut that in half. This just means that it's time for me to buy a new bottle of QP, because your fridge Once you're on the QP train, you don't get off. Your fridge should always have a bottle of QP at all times, folks. I don't think I'll be baking the crackers tonight. I feel pretty tired, to be honest with you, so after that buckwheat cake comes out of the oven, that's it. I'm gonna fridge this dough. Maybe we'll roll it out tomorrow. I would love to eat some fruit though. Have you guys ever seen that YouTube channel called Swedish Mealtime? It was like a spin-off of Epic Mealtime, almost, but not nearly as disgusting. And they always used to take a tablespoon of mayo as a pre-dinner snack. I love that show. No schedule on the lives. Whenever I want. Hello, 6-year-old daughter. I very much miss Swedish Mealtime. I did survive another Budget Eats. This one will be a short one. Not to have too many spoilers for y'all, but just to make the workload a little bit more manageable on everybody on the team. It'll be a little bit shorter, hopefully. Still don't like the smell of saffron. I don't know why. I have no idea what you guys are talking about anymore. Should I be in the know? Or should we read some exciting comments? Vote now. Ready? Come. The people want to see you, dear. Come up. Up. Good boy. I don't know why you like these so much. Up. Ew. He probably thinks the same of me and pears and peanut butter. Up. You know, if you just stay up here, you won't have to jump every time. I will still give you treats. One last time? Can you stay? Turn around. Turn around. Good boy. Can you reach? Good boy. You done? Paw? Thank you. Paw? Good boy. Hi. That's it, no more. You're gonna throw up. All right, let's go to the land of comments, y'all. Okay, so on the live that has a title of Shrimp Shell Crackers, Baked Fries, Fridge Clean Out, we have an extended debate. 96 comments on this live, which is way more than I've ever gotten. Let's start with the newest comment that was posted an hour ago. June is a narcissist who can never be wrong It's not worth anyone's time to try to make her own her bad behavior. Who but a narcissist would fight with her partner in front of an audience? When Aaron is on, the manipulative behavior never stops. He's no bargain either, but he's usually not the aggressor. I'm not here to defend myself. You might be valid. You might be valid. I could be a narcissist. We just don't know. I can totally understand what you mean about control in the kitchen, especially when it is so tiny. I swear I am not an angry person, but I absolutely cannot stand my significant other being in our tiny kitchen with me. It's like I can't breathe. Sorry, just messing with the timer. And it gives me so much anxiety. Sharing such a tiny home with everything in it, I think that can make people territorial of a certain space as their own. My kitchen is my safe space and a place where I can lose myself to mindlessly cooking, attain a small measure of peace in the sanctity of that space. I cannot do this with someone else in the space. I need room to breathe, and you shouldn't be judged by your behavior or your relationship based on the small glimpse of your lives we see inside that one small room, especially a room that is also your office and livelihood. Next comment. Yes, you are mean to Aaron, and I would feel hurt being treated like this. Bye, Laura. Fred's like, no more treats? Gotta listen to this shit? No, thank you. We should all be more like Fred, you know? Hey June, this is the first time in a while I comment on any vids. I can understand the grief and pain of losing a loved one, as I've been there too. I also understand the regrets and anger coming from how unfair it all seems. One might want to project it onto someone else just to ease the burden a bit. I did that while trying to cope with the loss a couple of years back. I don't know if that's what you're doing there. We have never met in real life, and I would not pretend to know you. I just adore your professional work, your kindness and compassion struck me deep, and that's what keeps me following this channel. But I think I'll stop checking in for a while. The way you treated Aaron was totally unacceptable and hurtful. Please don't let grief eat you up. And I hope you come out of it without losing more loved ones, not to death, but to your demons. And as a reply to that one, 100%, I wish June the best, and my heart breaks for anyone that loses a loved one. Most of us have been there and understand the grief and anger, but I cringed with the way she treated Aaron and can't watch things like this. Hope she finds some peace soon. Dude, you aren't wanting a little sliver of control. You always need control over everything. Why do you treat that man like that? You're so beyond rude and condescending to him. I honestly don't even know how he puts up with it. I sure wouldn't. How about instead of asking for even bickering, which what you do isn't bickering if it's absolutely one-sided, how about you stop antagonizing every situation? The man isn't even doing anything to you, and you're huffing and puffing at him. This started before your grief. True. You just got worse. Wow, I don't even comment on YouTube videos ever. I had to comment on this one. It's not enjoyable to watch you treat him like that. It's infuriating. If it was a man treating a woman like that, people would be in an uproar. Uproar. Sorry, I can't pronounce that word very well. God, you are borderline insufferable in this video with your snootiness. Every move this man makes, you comment on. I would leave you so fast. This is crazy. I can't believe I got worked up enough to actually comment on someone's video when I never have. Maybe besides once. Ooh, lots of feelings. It makes me feel like a narcissist to know that I am powerful enough through an unedited live to make people feel such strong feelings. You are feeding the monster when you leave comments like this. So even if I weren't as narcissistic before, you might be making one. Be careful. For every action, there is a reaction. And we cannot ever predict what the reaction is. Not that I care about you two, not that I care that you two argue on your lives, but it must be easy enough just to do your lives without Aaron so that you have your peace of mind and that moment of control you said you want. Of course, you are the captain of your lives. All the best. There's a reply to that comment that says, you do know it's his home too. And then a reply by the OP to that one that says, I'm not talking about their home, I'm talking about her YouTube live, which doesn't need to include him if she so chooses, and I think he would be fine with that. This is something that Aaron and I have talked about because there have been lives that made him very uncomfortable, and I always ask him, do you want to be on the live? And he usually says no. As a general rule of thumb, if I know he's going to be home at the time that I want to set up a live, I always ask him, I'm going live at 2, is that okay? He almost always responds with something along the lines of, you never have to ask me if that's okay. And I would always say, yes, I know, but I would just rather you know that it's happening. So I am trying to navigate how to do these lives without interrupting his time at home, but it's almost impossible to not interrupt his time at home when I do these lives. So yes, I can just as easily not do the lives, but it is a small home. He will probably want to come into the kitchen at some point to just get water, and whatever he does, participate or not participate, is his own choice because I give him a heads up. So do what you will with that information. Did I invite him into the kitchen? Okay, edges are pulling away. Yes? Do you hear that? I find it fascinating that people say, I would leave you so fast. Okay, well, thank God you're not in a relationship with me, right? For your sake. Perfect. Lightly golden. You probably can't see because of my shitty lighting and camera, but lightly golden on the edges. That persimmon is kind of set, kind of not set. I'm gonna let that cool, and I'm going to drizzle on more syrup. And we are rounding the 2-hour mark, and my phone has not been fully charged before I started this live because, again, poor planning. But I hope you got what you wanted out of this live today. Whether you're a fan of drama or not drama, I hope you are a fan of cake. That syrup, though, it's looking shiny, glossy, glazy syrup. Yum. We're gonna have to let that buckwheat cake cool for a bit. As you can see, it's starting to sink in. I didn't put flour into the sour cream mixture, so now it's just kind of deflating into the cake. So, womp womp womp. See, I love people who come here for the cake and stay for the drama. It's all part of the package. I never promised you a rose garden, right? What was your relationship with Aaron like in the beginning? When I first met him, I hated him. We met at teacher training in China. We were both on teaching fellowships. He was very much like a class clown figure. He always made a lot of joke answers in all of our training courses, and I was just like, eye roll ball. But, you know, like, we sat together for lunch one day. I chatted him up. He needed someone who spoke Chinese more fluently than he did to help him with, like, repairing his iPhone or something. So we went to a knockoff iPhone retailer store, and I tried to translate for him, and it was a very small town, and there's not much to do, and we ended up taking a lot more walks and talking about our lives, and we talked about, you know, our parents and their relationships as we grew up. Both of our parents are divorced, so we had that common ground. Both of us didn't want kids or marriage, so we had that common ground, which isn't a very common ground, to meet someone who says outright they don't want to get married and they don't want to have kids. So I found that very interesting. He was very refreshingly honest as a person, very rude and brutal if you're not used to that kind of honesty, which I found very much something that I admired, because not a lot of people have the courage to be transparent. So we were just friends for a while, and he was the only white dude in his town. Probably the only, I think there was another black dude in his town for a while, and then he was the only foreigner in his little rural village in Gansu, China, and he just started visiting me and my co-fellow on the weekends with a 7-hour train ride, y'all, because he was very bored out of his mind being the only white dude in his town. The thing that he loved more than anything when he was in China was niu rou mian, which is beef noodle soup, Gansu style, the best kind of beef noodle soup in the world. Yes, I know reading these comments is gonna hurt me, because I do read them and they do hurt me, but I figured this is better to have a conversation and to process them than to stew on them myself. And this being my own channel, like, doesn't make sense if I just put out videos and don't read the comments. I still want some sort of feedback from the audience, whoever they may be. And I think even if I don't agree with them, even if they do hurt me, I do feel like on some level, all of the comments have some sort of validity. Even if the comment is telling me I'm a bad person, they are not 100% wrong. I'm not saying they're 100% right. I'm not that terrible. But if I'm honest, like, I'm a shitty person sometimes. And I want to fucking normalize that, okay? I don't want there to be an idea that we have perfect people in the world. That is just so much pressure for everyone to take on, and I don't find that healthy at all. We need to have this acceptance that, like, good people can do bad things, and bad people can do good things, and then maybe sometimes good people can turn into bad people and bad people can turn into good people, and, like, at the end of the day, they're all just people who were born and then they're gonna die someday, and none of it really matters. Because if you focus on one person, it is so easy to nitpick on all of their weaknesses, and that's fine, because I'm holding very narcissistic lives that only focus me for the most part. But if you look at what's going on in the world, there's a lot of fucked up shit, guys. So I understand that it could be even therapeutic for people to just, like, hone in on my weaknesses and pinpoint what I'm doing wrong, because then they can feel like they are seeing from the right side of things in a world that doesn't make much sense. Even leaving a comment on a YouTube channel is an act of control too. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying every single action that we commit to is an attempt at gaining control in our lives. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's something that we do. So I understand where the comments are coming from. I'm trying to not let them, or rather, I'm trying to not let my reading of the comments bully me into berating myself even more than I already do on my own. I think the reason why comments bother me is because I do take them seriously. I think some people mistake me taking the comments seriously as, oh, well, she said she's going to change and she obviously hasn't changed and she's still a very abusive person. Some habits you don't quit for a very long time. Some people struggle with their addictions lifelong. Some people are just born with it. Some people manage to change their fate. Some people don't. I didn't promise you anything except cake. Hey, we're back. So I don't really know what y'all want from me. I'm sure different people want different things. Like, I can see from the comments, there's the Fred lovers. There's the, the people who stand up for Aaron. There's the June apologists for when I'm being mean. And then there's like the silent majority, the vast majority. Look, there's 500 people watching this live right now. Only a handful of people leave comments. I don't know what the vast majority of you are thinking. Maybe you're just here for cake. In which case, I'm glad, because I serve cake. Let me give you what you want. I don't know if there's any other way to be but be myself. Sometimes I feel bad about being myself, but I still can't control being myself. And the more you try to change yourself, the more painful life becomes because you are working against the flow of things. So my question for myself is, how do I reduce the shame that I have in my day-to-day living? Because I think holding on to increasingly large amounts of shame is what makes me meaner. We don't need to screw the haters, guys. The haters are useful. Who are we without our haters? They too give us contrast. And by contrast, we reach closer to meaning and truth. Because truth is non-existent. It's a constant oscillation between defining negatively and positively. You can't tell people who June is without saying what she is and what she isn't. There's just not one definition of me. It smells good. Okay, the buckwheat makes the cake fairly dry, even though it looks fluffy, even though it is quite moist. The sour cream persimmon thing really helps. Yum. Jasmine. Okay, this is pretty good. Adding syrup would not be too much. It's not very sweet on its own. Did I add Truvia to this? I did, didn't I? I don't taste the Truvia, but it does make my tongue feel a little bit minty. Like a little bit. It's not so much a flavor than a sensation. I think we're gonna have to add some peanut butter to it. Adams, finally tried it. You might have seen on my Instagram story that I am not a huge fan of it, but it's still peanut butter, and I will eat it. I think it's because it's organic. Like, I like natural peanut butter, but I don't think I like the organic versions at all. I also had the organic Smuckers. Just didn't really hit the spot. Yum. Peanut butter definitely makes it better. Brings the moistness all together with its sticky glue texture. It also brings out the saltiness in the buckwheat flour itself, as well as the kind of fake sugar taste. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry we won't get to taste this cake just yet. And I did just get a notice from my phone that's like, you have 5% of battery left. So that's all I have for you. I'm probably gonna go ahead and eat like 2/3 of this cake now. Maybe we'll ask him to taste on it live. I'm trying to open. There we go. Hi, Fred. Can you tell the people to be nice to themselves and to drink water and to take their vitamins and to adopt a kitty if they're not allergic? Bye, folks.